Hello and welcome to this episode of the Kings of Garbage Time Football Podcast, where we help you sort through the garbage that is mainstream football analysis to become a more knowledgeable football fan and a better fantasy football general manager. I am Zach. I am here with Omar and Colton, and we are back from a pretty sizable time off just because we hit the busy season for a lot of people here as fall transitions into winter. But we are back. And we are back to talk about Dynasty football. So, Colton, you were basically the impetus for this topic. So, why don't you describe how we got to this point and what it is we're going to be talking about?
So my kind of idea of what to cover this episode was going to be, it's honestly kind of like if you read a magazine, you'll see like new stuff going on. So basically just like what's going on around the Dynasty world, fantasy world, mainly in Dynasty though, because that's where all the degenerates are that follow this stuff. So you got pretty interesting stuff going on. Like I saw a tweet and it actually does make sense because two of them you can argue for sure, and then one of them is kind of so. But there's an argument that the RB1, the wide receiver one, and the tight end one are all rookies. So that being Najee Harris, Kyle Pitts as the tight end one, and then Marrchase as the wide receiver one. So it gave me the idea to talk about that and then just kind of cover ascenders and people are worried about, and then whatever else the other guys want to talk about. But honestly, just talking Dynasty for this episode.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted there.
No,
yeah, so let's go ahead and start with the one that started us on this conversation, which is the wide receiver one. I am using Keep Trade Cuts Dynasty rankings. Obviously, those are sort of crowdsourced. Everyone can sort of weigh in.
They're kind of like very in the moment.
Yes. So right now, the top 5 is Marrchase as overall player number 1. He's wide receiver 1. Justin Jefferson is second as player number 3. Sidi Lam is third at number 8. DK Metcalf is fourth at 9. And Tyreek Hill is 5th at 11. And then they also have what is very helpful, the 30-day trend of these players. Marrchase 30 days ago on Keep Trade Cut was player number 19. He is now overall player number 1.
19 overall?
Yes, he is now number 1. So, is Marrchase Dynasty wide receiver 1, and is he Dynasty player 1?
I feel like it might be a little too early to call him Dynasty player number 1. As far as wide receiver number 1, I don't know. I'm feeling like I see that connection with him and Burrow. It's pretty strong. I think that I would want to see if he puts up what like Sidi Lam did last year. Without Dak, he was still playing consistent. And as far as Marrchase, I mean, we've seen him with Burrow and he's played great. And that's great. But I think we still need to see him play a little longer before I personally would call him the Dynasty overall player number 1.
Well, there's like a regression that could come with the CDs for sure. But the yards is encouraging. Didn't he have like 200 yards last game? So
yeah,
possibly. And he's like just very dynamic. So I honestly believe that he probably is, but I think like we're in a kind of weird spot, or I guess good spot, depending on if you own any of these guys, where any of these like top 5 could rotate in as a wide receiver 1 at any given time. I was mentioning like DK Metcalf wasn't involved in our like talks in the group chat, but like he should be considered, in contention for wide receiver 1 just with what he's done. He's still a very young guy. Tyreek Hill kind of, I guess, being the odd man out, according to some guys. But he's still number 1 on Fantasy Pros. I know that's not as like in the moment and market value wise as Keep Trade Cut, but there's also a difference between in the moment value and production and long-term production, and actually like the player like producing. Because if we look at just producers like Cooper Kupp, like I mean, he obviously you can't argue him. I
Mhm.
get, but production wise, you could. And
He's
so
currently wide receiver 8 on Keep Trade Cut for what it's worth.
yeah, so he's moved up, and but like what he's done is like historical as well. So,
Mhm.
but he's obviously not going to get brought up in these conversations with the age. But I think him and Tyreek Hill are guys that you might not like them because of age when you're considering the ones, but like they produce still, so it's like it's hard to discount them when you're looking at actual points. But that's just my take on it. I did see something that I thought was pretty crazy on Twitter today. People, I think on Keep Trade Cut too, they're preferring like Trevor Lawrence and all these guys over, or no, they're preferring Jamar Chase over like Trevor Lawrence and all these guys in a super flex, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I guess, but like you said, number one overall, right? On Keep
Yes.
Trade Cut.
This is
So
non-super flex for what it's worth.
this
So
is
this is
non.
regular.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's a little jaded, but in Superflex, like you think Trevor Lawrence would at least be tied with Jamar Chase at this point, but it's kind of crazy that Jamar Chase like had like 1,000, 2,000 above him, which is, if you didn't know, that's like the difference between like a really good running back and him. So his value is a little overinflated right now, but I think I mean, definitely could be the wide receiver 1. I just want to see more, just like Omar said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am very hesitant to put a rookie as the overall player 1 and as the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. I'm actually looking at a second-year guy. This is the guy who I personally just feel is the Dynasty wide receiver 1, and that is Sidi Lamb, who's only 22 years old. He's off to a bit of a shaky start this year. He's 16th currently in points per game among wide receivers, or in total points among wide receivers. I'm not too worried about it. He's going to have Dak pretty much long-term as his quarterback. Amari Cooper potentially has an out after the season from his contract. And even if he does not take that out, Sidi Lamb is still one of the big 2 wide receivers there. I just want to urge a little bit of caution about the pace that Jamar Chase is going at right now. I don't know how sustainable that is. Obviously, Colton brought up the touchdowns with regression. Sidi Lamb currently only has, I believe, 4 touchdowns receiving this year. So he's off to a slow start. But I think if you were asking me to pick any wide receiver to start my Dynasty team with, I think Sidi Lamb is the guy that I would go with.
That's respectable. He's in the conversation. I think in my mind, if we're not going the potential and saying Jamar Chase, I like Justin Jefferson personally as a guy that I want to lead. And I know in the group chat, Joseph brought up the point about Kirk Cousins, like the tiebreaker being Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is good. Like he's legitimately like 30 plus touchdown guy. I posted the stats. I was like, yeah, he sucks. But like, if you look at him, he's like he places like a QB1 pretty much year in and year out. So I think at that point, like your QB, it doesn't make much of a difference, to be honest. Feeding the wide receiver, we saw plenty of guys produce. Just like I brought up the point to him, Big Ben was never the QB1 when Antonio Brown was dominating the league for all those years. So as long as you have a decent QB that can feed a receiver, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But pretty much, I like Justin Jefferson if we're excluding Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree. Oh, go ahead, Omar.
Well, I'm gonna give you guys my take because I actually own Sidi Lam in our startup that we did for Superflex. But personally, I think, well, I guess let me just say how my decision would go. I picked Sidi Lamb because I wanted to have the Dak Sidi Lamb stack since I had already picked Dak with my first pick. But if I hadn't gone Dak, like let's say I had picked like, I don't know, Herbert or somebody, then I think I would have gone another route and picked like Justin Jefferson if he was still there. Because personally, I think that Justin Jefferson has outperformed Sidi Lamb to as of yet, and he's got like we've talked about. I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't a bad quarterback, but I think Dak's obviously a better quarterback there. So, but I think as of right now, yeah, Justin Jefferson has played a little better than Sidi Lamb.
I think the big thing that worries me with Justin Jefferson long term, and the reason I have Sidi Lamb over him right now, is just that we know Dak is locked in as the long-term quarterback for the Cowboys. We do not know that Kirk Cousins is locked in as the long-term quarterback of the Vikings. It actually looks like at the first available opportunity, they'll be going in another direction. So
that crazy too.
That does make me worried.
That's the legitimate. Like I even admitted in the chat, that's the legitimate. I just thought comparing the QBs was stupid, but him leaving is definitely a real concern.
If he does have Kirk Cousins long term, then obviously I think Justin Jefferson probably should be the wide receiver one, but it does not look like that's going to be the case. So let's go through here some of the other notable players on this list. I mentioned Cooper Kupp at wide receiver 8. DJ Moore is at wide receiver 10. He's 24 years old. Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 11. If you go down, Chris Godwin's only 25 years old at wide receiver 13. Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 14. Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, 3 Alabama receivers at 16, 17, and 18.
Feels high.
If you go down a little more, you have Deontay Johnson at 19. T. Higgins is down at 23. Chase Claypool is 24. Marquise Brown, 25. Kadarius Toney is 28. Rashad Bateman, 30. Rondale and Elijah Moore at 32 and 33. And to mention this, because this has been a gripe of mine since the 2020 NFL draft, Jalen Reagor on Keep Trade Cut is not in the top 125 players at the wide receiver, or in the top 125 total. He's not a top 50 wide receiver for Dynasty. I'm going to see if I can find him really quick. Colton, do you have any takeaways on the rest of that list?
On it,
AJ Brown?
AJ Brown, I was going to bring him up.
Oh yeah,
I feel like AJ Brown is still in contention for wide receiver 1. People like to, he's had a bad start, honestly. Injuries though, and he started off kind of slow in the games he did play, but we saw last week what he could do if they actually realize that they have an elite wide receiver. I know he plays second fiddle to Henry a lot of the time, but like, I mean, if a team stops Henry, they lose if they don't get AJ Brown involved. So I just don't see them not using AJ Brown. So I feel like, I mean, people were talking about him literally just this offseason about being in the wide receiver 1 in contention with Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. So I think it's too premature to, it's like how you're bringing up, it's too premature to crown Chase. I think it's too premature to crown AJ Brown as dead. So just that. And then I also wanted to say Deontay Johnson should probably be higher than Smith and those guys and Waddle and them.
Yeah, I
personally,
agree with you there.
Because he's still pretty young and
he's played very consistent.
If you look at his like point totals, it's pretty insane right now how he's playing. And I don't think it's just because Big Ben. I think it's in spite of Big Ben. I'd like to see if Aaron Rodgers or someone goes there, like somehow. I think that Deontay Johnson is like a locked in top 6 wide receiver. I don't want to go too much higher, but yeah, I really like what I've seen from him so far as an owner and just as a fan of the sport.
So for reference here, AJ Brown is sitting at wide receiver 7 on this list. And I found Jalen Reagor as wide receiver 64.
Nice.
That puts him behind Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Van Jefferson, Hunter Renfrow, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 32-year-old Julio Jones, and a 30-year-old Cordero Patterson.
Nice.
Patterson should be higher.
Can you find Calvin
That is
Ridley?
the Philadelphia Eagles' first-round wide receiver.
I guess Ridley's probably like
Ridley is wide receiver 12 currently.
I think that's
fair.
Well,
I mean, he's kind of old.
He's 26, yes.
Oh, he's only 20. No, actually, I take that back. I thought he was like 28.
Yeah,
where's Michael Thomas on this? I know he's been like gone for a long time. He's like
dead.
28 or 29, but
he is in between Rashad Bateman and Rondale Moore as wide receiver 31.
He'll be higher when he plays. This is just like, if he's gonna play and get like, he's gonna get 10 plus targets every week, I think. So when he plays, his value is going to skyrocket because I still believe he's good. If you look at last year when he was healthy, he still put up like 20 points every week with Taysom Hill. So with Jameis Winston, who's more open to taking deep shots and just throwing the ball in general instead of running, he's going to eat. And as we saw yesterday, Monday night, the Saints have no wide receivers to speak of. So I think he's going to get fed and his value should go up, especially on keep trade cut where it's like a short, like immediate reaction kind of thing. So expect for him to ascend, in my opinion.
Hey, you didn't mention my boy Hollywood Brown.
I did actually. Let me find him again here. He is wide receiver 25. That puts him right behind Chase Claypool and right in front of Keenan Allen.
Feels low.
He has moved up 27 total spots.
I feel like Claypool's a little high there for me. But
yeah. I would prefer Hollywood over Claypool at this point.
I would as well.
To be honest.
Yeah. So there's a few receivers that we are worried about right now, and it is reflected here in their rankings because they have fallen.
Probably like the biggest faller.
Wide receiver 42, 43, and for me, wide receiver 44. That is in order: Allen Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, and Terrace Marshall, the Panthers rookie. If you scroll down just a little bit more, Christian Kirk is 49, DJ Chark is 50. Just based on what I saw from both of them this season, Chark obviously is injured, but they are both young, him and Kirk. I would like both of them right now over any of those three guys I just listed. What do you guys say?
Just to piggyback off that, like Chark was the wide receiver one there. Debatable, I guess, with Marvin, but I think from the limited sample we saw with Chark before he got hurt, it looked like he was operating as a wide receiver one. So Shenault still hasn't done anything that's too impressive with all this stuff, all this hype. He has done nothing really. I mean, nothing that I've seen. I don't really pay attention to his totals that much, but I haven't seen anything on Twitter, anything about him. Pretty much nothing. I know he had one game where he pretty much blanked. So Chark, when he comes back, should be better.
I do want to give myself a W because obviously on this podcast, we are very accountable for our bad takes. I want to give myself the W. I was very not concerned about Shenault taking Chark's workload in the offseason. I think I nailed that one. Juan Torres, who is not here to defend himself because he is a coward. Juan Torres, a LaVisca Shenault owner, tried to get one over on me in the chat. I won this one, so that is a W for me. Back to you, Colton.
And then you mentioned Tony. Where's Tony at?
Let me pull him up real quick.
Like 30-something.
Tony is wide receiver 28.
Oh, that's good. Never mind. I was going to say he's too low.
That puts him as the fourth rookie.
That's actually crazy. Where's he in terms of like where positioning, like 28? Okay, who's 27? Who's 29?
So from 25 to 30 is Marquise Brown, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, Kadarius Toney, Michael Pittman, Rashad Bateman, and then Michael Thomas at wide receiver 31.
Yep, that's where he should be right now. I really love what he's done, and yeah, I mean, I'm not taking a victory lap or anything, but just keeping it real.
By the way, I mentioned LaVisca Shenault here. DJ Chark is sitting at wide receiver 50 as a 25-year-old. LaVisca Shenault, 23 years old, is at wide receiver 38 right now. So keep trade cut. Still buying into the Shenault hype. I am not so sure myself.
What do they have old man Marvin Jones at? I know he's old, but hey, he is performing at wide receiver one, like Colton said.
62.
Marvin Jones is at wide receiver 65, which puts him right behind Jalen Reagor.
That's pretty good.
Honestly,
above him.
There's no way
above him.
Honestly, take Marvin Jones if you have the choice over Jalen Reagor. Come on, guys.
Marvin at least scores points. Like,
yeah, how are they going to do my boy Marvin like that?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that is right before the drop-off, because right after that, you have Mecole Hardman, who is just not very good. Donovan Peoples-Jones and Marquez Callaway and KJ Osborne, who are projects. Devontae Parker, who's a really solid receiver, but is sort of ending what we thought would be his prime. He's sort of been wasted by the Miami Dolphins.
Where's Will Fuller?
Will Fuller right behind Parker at 71. Right below him is Quintez Cephas. And then Nico Collins is a couple spots below them.
What happened to Cephas? He just died one day.
Apparently, the Lions staff does not like Quintez.
I think he
Cephas.
actually is dead right now too.
I
by
don't
the way.
really
Yeah, he is on
understand
IR.
it. I don't really understand it because he's clearly the best athlete they have playing wide receiver. I feel like you'd try to make that work if you can.
Wait, no, the
But
best
whatever.
athlete is Cleef Raymond. Have you saw that guy?
He is
No,
a very,
I'm
he's a
fast.
very
St.
solid
Brown.
wide receiver.
He's
yeah.
raw.
I
He's
do
raw,
like Khalif
but
Raymond.
he's fast, man. And then
No,
Amon St.
Raw is
Brown, I
Amon-Ra.
want to shout out to him because he got 0 points. Thank you. Played him. He literally got
Hey,
0.
we should shout out
And a blowout
Amari Rogers
loss.
almost every
Thank you.
week too. Then
And speaking of Amari Rogers, he's here
Must
at
have
wide
it.
receiver 83. By the
he's
time
projected to do better this week because Devontae's got the COVID.
by the time this episode goes up, the Packers will probably have played their game against the Cardinals without Devontae Adams or Alan Lazard, who are both on the COVID list.
Let's see if he can
if-
get 600 yards and
Wait,
If we
Lazard is on
have-
the COVID list too now?
Yes.
Yes,
If
today.
we have an Amari Rogers breakout game this season, this is the chance for it to happen.
Please.
And one more wide
no
receiver.
wonder I got a trade offer for him.
One more wide receiver for the road. Robbie Anderson is currently wide receiver. What number? He's 28 years old.
Ooh,
Uh,
70. Nope. He's probably right
85.
ahead of Jalen Riger. Probably
85,
60.
60.
yeah, it feels low. 85,
Colton
though.
is closer. He is wide
Oh.
receiver 81.
I'm a
Wow.
beast, bro. I've been off on like a little bit each one of these.
Yeah.
I was trying to give him a little bit extra.
Wait,
credit
hold on.
there.
I want to bring up someone else that's been mentioned. Ayuk. What's wrong with them? And I'm not just asking because I traded for him. But
Truthfully, we're gonna get to this with the Niners running backs. I think we're about to go to running backs next.
okay, that's
But
fine.
I do not understand the Niners personnel decisions. Ayuk looks fine when he plays. I don't understand what it is that Shanahan
Saw that
doesn't
video?
like about him in practice. But the Niners personnel decisions are just very confusing. They drafted Trey Sermon in the 3rd round and then decided they don't like him at all. Elijah Mitchell, who I obviously liked as a sleeper pick before he ended up on the Niners, sort of stumbled his way into the starting job and looks really good. But in that case, why draft Trey Sermon? I don't know. I don't understand it. I do not understand the 49ers. They're very much like the Patriots for me. As a team, I would want to avoid as much as possible outside of maybe Deebo Samuel and George Kittle.
Yep. Pretty much. I sent that video in the chat where he literally he cooked the DB and was open for like an 80-yard touchdown if Jimmy could just get the ball out. He didn't. So he is performing like on the field pretty well. If you just look at him, not like his targets or anything, just how he's running his routes and stuff. I guess he looks pretty good. It's kind of debated there, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Shanahan and what he plans to do with his players. It seems like you said, he just kind of decides, I hate you, so you're not going to get anything. So I don't know how he decides this or what Ayuk or Sermon, because you remember they started the season off inactive. I think Ayuk and Sermon both doghouse for some reason. So I know it probably won't happen, like 99% sure it won't happen, but I want Ayuk to be traded. I don't think it will happen though, but it'd be pretty cool if it did.
Yeah, so let's get to the running backs here. So Colton mentioned that a lot of people view Najee Harris as potentially the Dynasty RB1. I am actually in agreement with the keep trade cut conglomerate of people with Jonathan Taylor as RB1, which is who they have. That is who I have. Najee Harris sits at RB2, Derrick Henry at 3, DeAndre Swift at 4, and Christian McCaffrey holding on to the 5th spot. Any takeaways from that top 5? Who is your RB1? Who do you think belongs in that top 5? Omar, take it away.
Well, I think I would have to agree with you. I think Jonathan Taylor, he's just a beast. He's performed consistently since last year, since he started performing well in I think week 3 or 4, when they decided, oh yeah, we have this really good rookie that we drafted, let's use him. But I think maybe Kamara needs to be mentioned in that top 5. I think
He's number 6. So
Okay. Yeah,
there
I
you
was
go.
gonna say because he's performed. You saw what he almost did to me last week. And yeah, I think poor McCaffrey. Poor McCaffrey. I feel like he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But I think if he had been healthy, he would have probably been in the top 2 somewhere up there.
He
Still.
was the 30-day trend. He was at number 1 30 days ago overall.
Mhm.
So here we lie. He is now number 7 overall, RB5.
But he's just a monster when he's out on the field. Who was number 2 on that list? Najee Harris.
Najee Harris was number 2.
Yeah, he's definitely performed
Jonathan
really well.
Taylor, it should be noted, is a year younger than Najee Harris, for whatever that's worth. So
I think every running back from last year is younger than Najee. I actually think that's true, though.
I think I saw a stat somewhere that said like Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris are the same age.
Yep.
So
He's going to be 24.
Colton, your takeaway on that top 5, anything you would add to it? Rearrange the order?
I brought it up myself just to look at people after. I mean, it looks fine. Like, I don't hate any of these. I have a propensity towards DeAndre Swift, though. I just don't see why he'd be below Najee Harris. But other than that, I mean, it looks fine to me. Derrick Henry's getting a lot of run. Honestly, Christian McCaffrey seems pretty low. I think, honestly, I'd rather have Christian McCaffrey than over Najee Harris. I don't even know like how that's even a hot take anymore, but I feel like Christian McCaffrey is being slept on a ton. I know the injuries with him and Saquon are super frustrating, but I mean, he's just a cheat code. Like every time he plays, it's guaranteed. I mean, is Najee always going to get 100 targets a game from Big Ben? Like he's gone after this year, and then Najee's going to be 24. Like Najee's good. He's an RB1. He's top 5. I'm gonna be honest. He's top 5, but like he's a guy that I would prefer to have so many other guys over him in these tiers. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is kind of undeniable at this point. I'd like to say not or DeAndre over him, but I think Jonathan Taylor's spot is just a lot safer. He doesn't have to worry about Jamal Williams. So he gets guaranteed stuff, and he gets most of the receiving work. Seems like Hines is pretty much slowed down for some reason. And then Marlon Mack's going to get traded, or something's going to happen with him at this point. So Jonathan Taylor has free reign with a good O-line and a dedication to the team using him. So I think he's pretty clear RB1. And then everyone else is just kind of in a jumble, but I like DeAndre Swift to be RB2 at least, and compete with Jonathan Taylor. So that's my 2 cents.
All right. Are there any other interesting Dynasty running backs out there? I will raise a few notable players on this list. Javonte Williams, a rookie, sits at running back 13. That puts him right ahead of Joe Mixon, right behind Aaron Jones. James Robinson up to RB16. Obviously, he's only 23 years old. Travis Etienne sits at RB20. So it is not as if the people believe that they will harm each other all that much. Josh Jacobs is only 23 years old, does not have a lot of mileage on him. They did not run him a lot at Alabama. He is running back 19. Clyde Edwards-Helaire sits at running back 22. Darrell Henderson actually sits at running back 23.
This is crazy.
He is currently 2 spots ahead of Cam Akers. So I'm going to go to you on that one, Colton, since you are our Rams fan. What do you make of that?
You might be interested with my response here. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that the values for these 2 guys, one of them's going to go up or stay the same, and one of them's going to plummet, because I just don't see how they sustain both of them at this value. It's just like, it's not going to happen. Like it's just not. So interesting enough, I know you probably thought I had some like help or like advice or something to like clear up this mess, but I honestly don't know, because Henderson looks good, and then Cam Akers was good, and then he looks like the same. Apparently, according to reports, he looks like pretty much the same before the tear. So With him healthy, I would assume maybe they go back to Akers, but Henderson has looked so good that maybe it's a timeshare that drops both their values. I don't know. I'm happy as a Rams fan though. This is great. But as a fantasy owner of both of them, I'd rather one of them plummet. Obviously, I just don't know who. My bet is on Cam Akers to retake his role, but it's going to be pretty hard for him to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a jumble right now.
Omar, do you have any other running back takeaways that you want to go to?
Did you mention Austin Eckler?
Austin Eckler is, I believe, top 10 on here. He is running back number 10 on the spot, right behind Saquon Barkley, and right ahead of Ezekiel Elliott.
Personally, I think he should be probably ahead of Saquon. I think he's probably close to Zeke, but yeah, he's definitely one of the dynasty running backs who I would want to have on my team in a dynasty league, just because they use him so much in that offense. He's their like go-to guy. On top of that, who else? Maybe did you mention? Well, you did mention Javonte, who you said sitting at like a 13 or something.
Running back 13.
That's high.
That's
like
really high. That's like, to me, that's like, which he's performing like really well. They're using him kind of like he's kind of working like Kareem Hunt, and it's working for them.
It's like similar to where his ceiling is. Like he needs to step it up to increase his ADP or
exactly. I think that's a little high right now, but I think it could be there for sure.
It's granted.
Mm-hmm. Who else?
Just to mention, not to cut you off, but ETN and Robinson are in the same situation, I think, as Henderson and Akers, where one of them should plummet. But I don't know who.
You don't think they could do some sort of like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt type?
Maybe.
That is what I think personally. That is where
Kareem Hunt is just people don't understand. Like Kareem Hunt, talent wise, is top 5.
Oh, for sure.
So like him just getting kicked off the Chiefs was just unfortunate for everyone. Mainly the Chiefs for doing it. Stupid, considering Tyreek Hill's still with them. Big contract as well.
Screw the Chiefs. Right
after, but I bet they regret that though, especially wasting a first round on CH. Where is CH, by the way? Where is that?
I almost mentioned him. He is at running back 22. That puts
below
him right
Henderson
ahead of
and
Henderson.
Etienne, who hasn't
ahead
played.
of Henderson, but behind Etienne and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is right in front of him at running back 21.
And this is kind of like max value right now for CH, honestly.
Etienne, like his value puts him at like he should have like this sort of like value of like Kareem Hunt, like I guess as far as like his ceiling wise. So why not? I mean, him and James Robinson could probably do what him and Nick Chubb do. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't.
It could, but they also just don't have the offense for it.
The Jaguars suck.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it could go either way. They're both talented. James Robinson is like insane. My bet.
Who are the other two?
If I had a bet on one to drop, would be ETN, but
we said Cam Akers and Henderson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love.
And but we have the offense to do it, but like Stafford is pass first, so
and I do wonder because it doesn't feel like the Rams wanted that to be what they were going to do.
Just kind of what they felt. It was Akers, Wills up before.
Right. So if they do sort of revamp that strategy, I could see a world where both of those guys have that role. It's just, do they want to do that?
Like RB2 kind of value. I mean, they've talked about it, but Sean McVay's never run a committee, so I think like people thought like they're bringing in Sony Michel, all this stuff, but like Michel's done nothing, literally nothing. He comes in when Henderson's tired and we're up by multiple scores, and then he gets taken out. Like they were in the Giants game, we're winning by like multiple touchdowns. They're still running Henderson in the 4th. It's like, what are you doing, guys? And then they're like scoring that game was insane. That was just child abuse, but they're still using Henderson at that point. So like if he's using Henderson at that point, you can tell he has a preference to just a workhorse kind of guy, which is good for fantasy, but very strange if you own both like I do.
And if you are wondering, Sony Michel, 26 years old, sits at running back 55 right now.
Yeah, that's fair. He's a handcuff at best, so it's like
one more I want to shout out. At running back 36, you have Chuba Hubbard. At 37, you have Khalil Herbert, who I was a big fan of going into the draft. At 38, you have Alexander Madison. At 39 and 40, you have a very interesting setup. 40 is Trey Sermon, who we talked about, who the Niners have decided they are not a fan of, despite drafting him in the third round. Right in front of him, at running back 39, is the 24-year-old. Can you guess where I'm going with this? That's right. Miles Gaskin.
I was gonna let you say it.
Miles Gaskin sits at running back 39.
You should trade him for Trey Sermon.
He is ahead of Trey Sermon. He is ahead of Ramondre Stevenson. He is ahead of Jamal Williams.
Hey, where's Miles Sanders?
I just want to float that out there.
He's pretty high.
Miles Sanders is actually very high. He's at running back 24 still.
Wait, no, where's Kenny Gainwell?
I suppose that's the question. Very high. Who?
Kenny Gainwell.
Gainwell.
Probably just went up.
He's going to go up after this week because I think Sanders in the plane.
Gainwell is running back 32. That puts him behind Michael Carter.
Hey, did you mention
another rookie who I am high on?
Who? Mention who?
Gibson.
He's RB1, I think.
RB15 right now.
Ooh, just outside. Okay.
Starting to wear on the people, I believe, is his broken shin, which he's struggling with right now. Yeah, trying to play through that is very difficult. It's kind of limiting his explosiveness.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so we're going to break here because we're coming up on 2 minutes left before it kicks us off. We'll come back, talk quarterbacks, tight ends. All right, and we are back. We're on to the tight ends, the position that is probably the hardest of all of them to figure out what is going to look like a year away, let alone 5 years away. But we do have the Dynasty tight end rankings. I want you guys both to guess the top 5 as they are currently on Keep Trade Cut. No cheating. Who are the top 5 Dynasty tight ends to own? Colton, go ahead.
Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
Wait, Travis Kelce.
Actually, no. Wait. Both of you guys go like each. So both of you say who number 1 is. That way we can get.
I think we both agree at Kyle Pitts here.
Kyle Pitts is number 1. Correct.
Mine is Travis Kelce. What do you think, Omar?
Number 2. I'm gonna have to go with Waller.
Travis Kelce is number 2, and I will spoil it. Darren Waller is number 3.
Damn, I was gonna go with the rest, man.
Go for number 4 now.
Number 4, probably Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews
is number 5. So you can guess who number 4 is pretty easily.
Kittle's still 4?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Kittle's 6. There's another young tight end. He's currently in exile.
TJ Hawkinson.
He's currently in
Why
exile.
Is he at 4?
TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, he's not ahead of Mark
24
Andrews.
years
That's
old.
wrong.
He's not ahead of Kittle, to be honest, either.
I mean, I
do not agree
putting it
with
out
that.
there. So that is your top 6.
I'm gonna shoot the messenger.
That is your top 6.
Where is Dallas MF Goddard?
9, 8.
Let's round out the top 12 here because I think it's interesting. Noah Fant is 7. Dallas Goedert is 8. The 24-year-old Dawson Knox is number 9.
That's not bad.
Guess who tight end number 10 is in Dynasty?
Hunter Henry.
Close.
No.
Gesicki.
Probably Gesicki.
Close.
No, it's not Gesicki?
If you are watching this and you have been following the podcast all year, this is a massive W to Colton Watson, who told you that Dalton Schultz was free.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Dalton Schultz is tight end 10
in
Dynasty. He is 25 years old. Yes, and 11 is Gesicki, 12 is Pat Freiermuth, and 13 is Hunter Henry.
Let me say something.
Takeaways. Go, Colton.
Let me say something. There's no way in hell Gesicki should be that low, below Dalton Schultz. And I love Schultz.
Yeah, I don't think Dawson Knox should be that high either.
Yeah, he shouldn't be, to be honest. And Gesicki should be higher than Fant, I think.
Nope. I
That
think
one,
that's
that
wrong,
is the
but
first
Gesicki
one
should be a
I
lot
agree
higher.
with. I am not big on Noah Fant.
He's good. I just think he's what people were scared Kyle Pitts would be. So
I think that sounds right.
Where's Higbee at?
I'm hoping for a QB upgrade for him, but
Tyler Higbee is 28 years old at tight end 15.
I didn't know he's that old.
Anyone else interesting that you guys want to go to here?
Where's
tight end is just a wasteland, man.
If I can go through the rookies for a second, we had Pitts at 1, Freiermuth at 12. Tommy Tremble is tight end 22. And then a huge drop off to Noah Gray, Kansas City Chiefs backup tight end at 40. Trey McKitty of the Chargers at 43. Brevin Jordan 45. Hunter Long 46. Kylan Granson, who I am still invested in long term, right behind them. Tight end is, as Colton said, a wasteland. You typically see it takes multiple years for a guy to break out, and then all of a sudden you have Dawson Knox and Dalton Schultz as the top 10 dynasty tight ends.
Irv Smith is still tight end 16.
And then there's people like Tanyan who just decide to just
wait, hold on. What is this, man? This is the first trash one besides the Gesicki being lower than Fant and everything, but how is Logan Thomas this low? How is he below Zach Ertz, Irv Smith,
7 years
Tyler Higbee, Cole Kmet?
My guess right now is Logan Thomas is 30 years old. Zach Ertz is also 30 years old, but he is in a much more friendly offense, I would say. Zach Ertz has actually gone up 116 total spots over the last 30 days.
You also got to look at
he's
strain,
a high riser.
Look at strain on the body.
I suppose that is true. But yeah, I mean, maybe people are also still worried about Logan Thomas's sample size as a tight end.
He was doing good before he got hurt.
Where's Kyle Pitts sit as dynasty overall?
Overall, Kyle Pitts is number 10. So let me pull up the overall list here. Give me a second as it loads the filters. Overall, Jamar Chase.
Do you want to wait on that before we get in?
We've already talked about all these players, so I'll just get it out of the way. Jamar Chase is number 1, Jonathan Taylor's 2, Justin Jefferson 3, Najee Harris 4, Derrick Henry 5, DeAndre Swift 6, Christian McCaffrey 7, Sidi Lamb 8, DK Metcalf 9, Kyle Pitts overall number 10.
See, I like talking about it in terms of where they are compared to QBs and Superflex, because that's when you know like a guy is really valued. But just for this, I don't necessarily disagree with this list, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty solid list.
Let's trigger the quarterback filter here real quick for Superflex. 1, 2, 3. There are only 4 players in the top 10 that are not quarterbacks. Very quickly, Josh Allen is 1, Kyler Murray is 2, Patrick Mahomes is 3, Jamar Chase 4, Justin Herbert 5, Lamar Jackson 6, Jonathan Taylor 7, Justin Jefferson 8, Najee Harris 9, Dak Prescott rounds out the top 10.
We really taken Najee Harris over Dak Prescott in a Superflex.
You have Joe Burrow is at 11. After that is a drop off of mostly positional receivers and running backs.
That's insane. I don't know. Dak Prescott should be over Najee. That's bothering me. But honestly, it's kind of surprising when any non-QBs in the top 10 in Superflex. That's how you know they're really valued.
So let's get to the quarterbacks then, since we pretty much covered the tight ends. It changes a little bit if you change it back from Superflex on here. In regular, Kyler Murray is QB1 and Josh Allen is 2. The rest of them you heard me say. Trevor Lawrence sits at QB8. Trey Lance at QB9 above Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. Jalen Hurts is falling, but he is still QB12. Anything else you guys want to go to here? Or do you want to talk about the top of that list?
Lance feels high for what we've seen. Other than that, let's see. I'm just bringing up the list myself so I can see. doesn't seem to be too much of an issue here.
Okay, I guess you said Jalen Hurts was number 12.
Jalen Hurts is currently 12. He's
Okay.
fallen 32 total spots.
We
to
should-
player 103.
We should do Superflex, I think, in these rankings.
I guess what's your opinion on Hurts? What's going to happen with him, or what's up with all this talk about like him getting possibly dropped by the Eagles next year?
It's tough. I still think Hurts has potential. He's very young. It kind of depends if the Eagles want to go quarterback with one of their first round picks next year. They are going to have 3 of them. Most likely 2 of them will be in the top 10. If they can get a quarterback they want there, I think the Hurts experiment probably comes to a close. He probably takes over as a backup quarterback, or maybe they keep Minshew as the backup and try to trade Hurts somewhere else. I don't know, but QB 12 is very rich for Jalen Hurts right now.
I will
He's in a
admit
very
that,
precarious position.
but I don't feel like he's played bad. And I feel like there's a lot of teams that aren't going to be in QB range. And in a class where a bunch of literally all the top QBs fell off, it's like new guys. So not guaranteed anywhere in this class, to be honest. There's no like it guy. But I think that even if they do pick a QB, I would expect him to get traded because he still carries value. I mean, it seems kind of dumb for them to just keep him as a backup. Like, you should let him go. They didn't feel comfortable with him as a backup to win. So I don't know why he'd be a backup again. I think they'd probably trade him. I feel like he starts somewhere and gets another shot. So depending on where that spot is where I'd start to panic. I definitely wouldn't take him top 12 though, just because of what Zachary said, where his future is unknown, and unknown is kind of scary when you're putting this price tag on someone.
Yes, and I do think it's worth pointing out that the Eagles just aren't very good. His number 1 wide receiver is a very good rookie, but is a rookie. After that, you have Quez Watkins, who has sort of popped up out of nowhere from roster obscurity, and you have Jalen Reagor, who is evidently a bust, and Goddard.
Who's good, but he's not like
he's
dominant.
Still growing into the sort of tight end 1 kind of role. Yeah. I still think Jalen Hurts is pretty good. I still don't understand what the Eagles were doing picking him, since it sounds like the coaches never wanted him in the first place. That explains why the franchise is a dumpster fire when you have the front office drafting players that the coaching staff doesn't want. They could have had Jeremy Chin in the second round. I know Eagles fans bring that up a lot on Twitter, but I don't get it.
I have an interesting one. I think Jordan Love has the potential to jump pretty high. I don't like, he looked pretty good in the limited stuff that we saw from him. And he's probably going to be the Packers starter next year, unless Aaron Rodgers has a change of heart. I guess that kind of depends on their playoff success and all that, maybe. But if Jordan Love takes over, I mean, as a starter, I think QB 28 is kind of low for what we've seen from him. So he either has the potential to jump like into the top 15 or just like plummet. So that's just one I wanted to bring up as like someone that you might want to invest in if you're looking that way at a QB, you know, as a project or something.
And if you do switch it over to the Superflex rankings, maybe Colton can explain this because I'm not the biggest Superflex guy, but the rankings do change if you switch it over to Superflex. In Superflex, Justin Fields jumps up to 14 and Jalen Hurts drops down to 16. I don't know why.
If I had a guess, it's because like you want to find like potential like that can be like your mainstay for like years to come. One QB, you kind of just like rotate through QBs. Like if you have a bad quarterback and one QB, it's pretty easy to just like get rid of them and get like a good quarterback because no one's drafting QBs anyways. So I think it really just depends because you want like solid guys that aren't going to like evaporate immediately. That's why I think on here, Superflex, Jalen Hurts is pretty low, to be honest. So I think it just depends on your mindset. Like here, Jalen Hurts is QB 16. And then on that list, he was QB 12, 13, you said? So like it just, you want someone like it makes more sense that you value QB safety because you have to start two. So one QB you can kind of just like, yep, Trey Lance, yep, I'm gonna start him. That's my starter. And who cares if he's bad because I can just get another QB immediately. So I think there's just like a difference in mindset there.
There you go. And to do the rookies here, I still have it set on Superflex. The rookies, Lawrence 8, Lance ticks down one spot to 10. Mac Jones sits at QB 12, which puts him right ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Justin Fields at 14, right ahead of Deshaun Watson. And Zach Wilson sits at 19, which is behind Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Tom Brady. Any takeaways on the rookie quarterbacks there?
You know what? I think Tua, we could see him increase there. He's been playing pretty well these last couple games, and I think with Jordan Howard, or not Jordan Howard, well, I'm thinking he plays the same role as Jordan Howard, Malcolm Brown. With him going on IR, Myles Gaskin should play better with Tua, and with Waddle now with Devontae Parker also being unhealthy and Will Fuller also, I think that offense, if they focus on those two and Gesicki, they could really do something. But like you said, their coaching is kind of bad. So we'll see what they do.
I know you wanted that to be like directed towards rookie QBs, but I want to piggyback off what Omar said too, and just say that like Tua's looked good and he's produced, and it's gonna be weird, like how you mentioned, and this is just kind of reports, so this is just factual, that Dolphins have been involved with the Watson talks the most, and trade talks like brought up, which I just think makes zero sense, to be honest, with Tua playing this well. Unless they're just gonna like get like a king's ransom for Tua. It just seems like you're underselling a guy that can pretty much start for you, because you got to think about like Watson is better than Tua, obviously, but it's like cost of acquisition, because like you're literally, is the upgrade really worth paying like 3 firsts and then probably getting underselling on Tua? Like I don't think so. I think it's just horrible like GM planning to do that, and it just feels dumb, honestly. And Tua looks good, so I really expect that Watson isn't going to the Dolphins, but we'll see. I mean, that's honestly what we should probably talk about, because where Watson goes shakes up everything. So
yeah, so let's do that. Real quick, a few notes on the Dolphins. As we mentioned with Tua, I believe he's only played in 12 games as a starter. This is only his second year. I believe he's only played 12 games. Really weird to give up on him that quickly. But as I've said time and time again, the Dolphins coaching staff is crazy. Obviously, I said that mostly with Myles Gaskin. But as you guys know, in our group chat, I have mentioned this with the quarterbacks, what they did last year. Starting with Ryan Fitzpatrick playing really well, and then suddenly going to Tua, and then dialing back the offense completely and benching Tua in 2 different games. This coaching staff just does not know how to handle its offense properly. What was the other point I was going to make? Oh, yes. Unless Deshaun Watson can also play multiple spots on the offensive line, I don't really know how much that trade is actually going to help the Dolphins. It made sense last year when they were 11-5, a very good team, but their defense, I believe, led the league in turnovers last year. They're not doing that this year. The offensive line has somehow gotten worse. I do not see how Deshaun Watson makes a huge difference for that team right now. So let's close it off with Deshaun Watson. We will avoid a lot of the legal questions here. But the question is, where do we think he's going to go? Until I see otherwise, I'm assuming that the Dolphins are going to go get him. The Carolina Panthers obviously have become sort of the second horse in the race. There are a few outside teams from the offseason. I know the Broncos were one of them. The Eagles were one of them. Where are we thinking Deshaun Watson ends up? And do we think he's actually going to be traded before the trade deadline on November 2nd, or before we even get this episode up, which would be kind of funny, but
I think in my heart, I think he's going to the Panthers. I feel like Panthers should do everything in their power right now to get Watson. It just makes sense for them to do that. They're really hurting since the old days of Cam Newton winning MVP. I think having actually like an elite QB that can take advantage of these weapons that they have, and a healthy Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, who looks like a legitimate elite wide receiver, it just makes sense. And the Panthers aren't like as in a bad a position as the Dolphins, in my opinion. So I think they should go there, or he should go there. Prefer there too, because he gets final say on where he goes because of the trade clause. So not that like great teams are going to trade for him because they don't have the capital, but like of the teams that are mentioned, I feel like Panthers are up there. Broncos also another strong candidate if you wanted to go there. Plethora of weapons as well with Sutton, Judy coming back, Javonte Williams, Noah Fant. Like that's honestly another strong and they have a decent defense. So he could go there too, and it'd be a really good spot. As far as what I think Panthers, Dolphins would make me pretty mad, but I mean it could happen. I mean those three teams, it's got to be one of them. So I
Omar?
think Panthers.
Well, I think that he'll probably, like Colton said, he'll probably end up going to the Panthers. But I'd like to see him personally. I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers go to the Broncos in the offseason. But I think it'd be cool to see like Deshaun Watson. He could probably play a good like role in like Pittsburgh or something. But I don't think that Pittsburgh would ever make the move. Another place where he could maybe end up is maybe Chicago. I feel like the Bears were also like in talks about getting him in the offseason, and that that whole place could just go clean slate pretty soon. That coaching staff is pretty bad, and they might just be looking to just look for like a new face there.
Maybe that's like a sleeper prediction, is that he goes to the Steelers. If he goes to the Steelers are definitely a playoff team, right? Or because the AFC is wide open, it feels like. So, and Steelers still have a pretty great defense. So I think if he goes to the Steelers, like that's going to be wheels up for everyone. Weapons galore, everything of the teams, that would be the best. But I don't know how realistic it is. But
Yeah, I don't know if
definitely
they could pay for that.
it's within the realm of possibility, though. Big Ben is trash, so I mean, it could happen.
I do think Washington is probably my
Washington.
sleeper pick. I do wonder, though, if in the midst of their own scandal about their workplace culture, if they decide, screw it, let's bring in Deshaun Watson too. That does raise a few questions for me. But yeah, I do agree. It does kind of look increasingly likely that Carolina gets there. I still have to say the Dolphins are the favorite just because they have been the favorite in every report since this whole thing started. Even if I disagree with the decision for them to go for it, I don't really understand it anymore now that they're not good. But I do have to say that I think they're the favorite right now.
That's fair.
So, is there anything left that we did not cover here that you guys want to bring up? Perhaps any rookie picks who might be on these lists next year and beyond?
I just want to say Bijan Robinson will be the Dynasty RB1. Literally the rookie year he's drafted. So that's 2023 though. So 2022, a lot of talent, a lot of ascending QBs. Malik Willis looking like he'll be my favorite target. I like Coral too. But other than that, yeah, I mean, Brees Hall gonna be a beast. Spiller's good, so we'll shake things up. It's not gonna be as bad of a class as people thought, especially with the plethora of wide receiver talent.
Omar, how about you?
I really like that UCLA running back that's been shooting up the rankings.
Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, I didn't want to mess up his last name, but yeah, definitely. He is definitely somebody who I'm going to be watching for the rest of the season. And who else? I saw some of those guys from it was Idaho State. I was watching the game on Saturday.
Iowa State, probably.
Iowa State, that's who it is. They had that wide receiver who was looking pretty good out there too. I think his last name was like Hutchinson. So like Colton said, there's definitely a lot of wide receivers shooting up in the rankings too. And then there's a lot of them. So That's something we'll be talking about a lot. I'm sure this off season we'll be talking about our candidates, and people will be keeping an eye on.
A lot of good stuff coming.
Yeah, we will see how much we disclose about our rookies, considering that we are also all in a league with each other, and
2 leagues. So
and we know that our league mates do watch this.
Yeah,
so.
Apparently some of us in more leagues with each other than others, right?
I am in the same amount of leagues with both of you, so you don't have to worry about it. A couple of 2022 guys I'm looking at. I still believe in Sam Howell as a top quarterback. I think people went in with way too high expectations. I didn't really understand why when his whole offense basically went into the NFL. But he's still playing really well this year. I think he's still going to be a first-round pick. He might drop a little among the quarterbacks, which actually works to his benefit because he can end up on a better team, hopefully. So I think that's a guy. And then wide receiver Drake London of USC is definitely a guy I'm keeping my eye on with my own first-round pick in our league. So everyone else has to stay away from him. I got dibs. But
if I had a pick, I'd go Burks, to be honest. But
Burks is another good one. I'm hoping I pick far back enough that Burks is no longer on the board when I pick.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a tough pick.
But I would like to get to the playoffs, so hopefully that is the case. All right. Another episode in the books. We are back from our break, hopefully back to doing this either weekly or bi-weekly as the season continues. We will keep people posted on our picks competition. Colton and Omar are now tied, 3-way tie for the lead in these standings. I'm a couple games behind, so I am right where I want to be.
I just want to mention that I've been leading and I haven't lost the lead for the last 7 weeks, so suck it.
I'm tied with you for a lot of it, man.
But I haven't lost the lead, have I, baby?
Can I not claim the leader though, or is this only?
You could claim it.
Wait, hold on. It's a tie. It's a tie, meaning that one person claims all the glory. I thought a tie was we share the glory.
We can share it for now.
I've been tied with you for a lot of weeks, Omar. I don't know where this is coming from.
I definitely
okay. Let me ignore you like you did me, and claim that I've been the leader for a lot of weeks.
I haven't lost the lead in 7 weeks, though.
But you haven't pulled away from me. I've been there.
I definitely think
I'll
you
give
guys.
You that much.
I definitely think you guys should enjoy it now while you can, because
Joseph's on the.
I have you exactly where I want you. So
I'm just gonna start picking whatever Omar does.
And to wrap it up, shout out to my rival Omar. All 3 leagues we are in this week, we played against each other, and I came out on top 2-1 in those 3.
I lost by less than a point in one of those leagues, and it's all because Tyler Lockett couldn't catch the ball. I think he got. I saw that second reception. He just dropped it. He just dropped it, and that's when I just dropped my hopes and dreams.
So once again, I'm victorious over my rival. Omar, it's getting to the point where I don't even know if we can call it a rivalry anymore.
Oh, really? No. All right, we'll see how this goes. We'll see.
All right, we will be back next week is the plan. And I'm sure by the end of the season, maybe Omar will be able to brag on me when I miss the playoffs. But we will talk about playoffs and all that much more in future episodes. So thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Simon's going to put the button here, and he's going to put the Twitter handle here at Kings of GT on Twitter. My Twitter updated. I actually have to add the account back, but it is still up there. So subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Adios.